Hello, and welcome to Studio 51. I'm Carly Free.
And I'm Jade Anderson. Studio 51 is a weekly news magazine produced by Loyola students. We're called Studio 51 because we're located on 51 East Pearson in this beautiful street studio in downtown Chicago. We've got a great show for you today, including the latest on the Canadian Parliament shooting, what you should know about Ebola, and an update on the very close governor's race here in Illinois.
And later, I sit down with the Phoenix Reporter to discuss a possible new Loyola scholarship. But first, for you stargazers, you'll want to check out our Tech Talk segment, and we all want to get stuffed with our foodie. But first, here's Stephanie Buffamonte with our news summary. Stephanie?
Our top story. It's been one day since that mysterious shooting in Canada. Now the Canadian Parliament and the country's Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, are calling the incident a terrorist attack. According to Canadian police, the shooter, 32-year-old Michael Zahaf Bibo, killed a soldier who was protecting the Canadian War Memorial in Ottawa. The shooter then went into the Parliament building with a rifle. He was shot and killed by the Parliament Sergeant of Arms. The press conference is scheduled for later today to release more information about the shooting. Closer to home, charges are pending against the man who jumped the White House fence last night. A Secret Service spokesman says 23-year-old Dominic Anasanya got as far as the north lawn before two guard dogs stopped him. Last month, another man jumped the fence and entered the White House with a knife before being apprehended by Secret Service. Election Day is less than 2 weeks away, and one of the closest races in the country is right here in Illinois. A Chicago Tribune poll has Republican Bruce Rauner slightly ahead of Democrat Governor Pat Quinn. Rauner has 45% of the vote, while Quinn has 43%. Barack Obama cast his early vote in Chicago this week. Ballots are currently open for early voting, and Election Day is November 4th. Here's an update on the Ebola outbreak. There are new restrictions on travelers coming from the 3 African nations with the most affected by the virus. Starting on Monday, travelers from Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea will now be required to check in with a local health official for 21 days after they arrive in the U.S. Meanwhile, local hospitals in Chicago are taking more precautions against Ebola. Studio 51's Anna Buchanan has the update on what one hospital and university is doing to aid relief.
Rush University Medical Center is being considered as a possible standby treatment center in case Ebola reaches Chicago. 300 employees at Rush receive training on what precautions they should take in case of an infected Ebola patient. Joan Holden, a nurse practitioner at Loyola University's Wellness Center, believes that it's vital for hospitals to be ready in case of the worst.
It's important also for our hospitals in this country to be prepared for a patient with Ebola virus disease to come into the hospital and what to do. So hospitals across the country are working hard in getting themselves into a state of readiness so that they can accept a patient with Ebola.
For safety reasons, doctors and nurses must work together to put protective equipment on. Training includes putting on protective gear that takes about 15 minutes to put on and another 15 minutes to take off.
So far, there have been no reported cases of Ebola in Illinois, but that is not stopping Loyola University from preparing in case of the possibility.
Instructor Griffin Byers teaches an emergency medical technician course that explains what Ebola is, how the virus can spread, and how personnel can be protected from the virus. Byers emphasized the importance of PPE, personal protective equipment, that all practitioners must wear when near an Ebola-infected patient. Loyola's Emergency Medical Services program was also on hand to give a personal demonstration on how to put the equipment on. Through extensive training, EMS is prepared to respond to Ebola or any other medical emergency on campus.
Just training in terms of we want to take everyone seriously if they say they've been to Africa, they have a fever, they've got other symptoms of Ebola. We need to take that seriously.
They demonstrated how to put on gowns, face masks, respirators, head coverings, gloves, and boots. Currently, there have been only 2 confirmed cases of Ebola in the U.S.
It's important to be ready in the event it does become one, but the bigger issue right now is the spread of the virus in Africa, and that the world should be paying more attention on how to help those people there.
For Studio 51 News, I'm Anna Buchanan.
In the 70s, right?
Thanks, Anna. Trouble is brewing for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. According to a published report, for nearly 2 decades, student-athletes were taking fake classes to boost their GPAs. The report says that at least 3,100 students participated in these classes. So far, at least 9 employees of the university have been fired. The NCAA has not taken any action yet. And finally, David Bowie. He's iconic, he's a classic, he's one of a kind, and his exhibit is right here in Chicago. With more on that, here's Kevin Carroll.
I'm Kevin Carroll, and I'm here at the Museum of Contemporary Art, where crowds of people are pouring in to see exactly who David Bowie is. A rock icon whose popularity has spanned decades, David Bowie is still wowing audiences with his eccentric ways.
The Victoria and Albert Museum in London originated this exhibition. It is doing a world tour. In terms of the V&A curators putting this exhibition together now, and it's seeming super timely all of a sudden with how much Bowie has been sort of in the press and releasing new music.
Beginning with his early rock and roll days as David Jones, the exhibit takes visitors through the different phases of his life and shows his progression as a musician. From his many iconic outfits to his classic cult films, the many personas of Bowie can be seen in this exhibit.
Almost everything in the show is from David Bowie's personal archive, and really almost nothing was off limits to them, and so it's really the curator's job to craft the story through the objects, and that's what they did.
A whimsical rock and roller, a sad clown, and even a space invader. It seems David Bowie is a little bit of everything. Every persona is a part of Bowie, which has helped this psychedelic rocker stand the test of time as he transforms himself through the years. The Museum of Contemporary Art is just a short walk away from Loyola's Water Tower campus, so stop by before this homage to one of the greatest rock and rollers closes on January 4th. For Studio 51, I'm Kevin Carroll.
Thanks, Kevin. For your news summary, I'm Stephanie Buffamonte.
Thanks, Stephanie. That looks like an exhibit I'd definitely like to check out.
Yeah, I'd like to go to that too.
Up next, we have Studio 51's Health Beat with Molly Brewer. She's got news on a possible cure for paralysis. Molly?
Thanks, Jade. You already heard a lot about the Ebola outbreak and some of the new precautions, but here in Chicago, Mayor Rahm Emanuel has applauded local health workers for taking quick action to evaluate 2 people who were sick on flights from West Africa to Chicago. The 2 passengers were a mother and her child traveling from Liberia. The child was vomiting and showed signs of dehydration and was taken to a local hospital. The CDC will continue to monitor both passengers out of precaution. A research team at London's University College may have discovered a cure for paralysis. According to a BBC report, a man who was paralyzed from the chest down is now able to walk with some aid. The procedure involves transplanting navel cells into the spinal cord. However, the medical team warns that the procedure needs to be carried out on more patients before it's considered effective. A study by the Journal of the American Medical Association is warning consumers that many recalled dietary supplements have made their way back to the shelves. The FDA has banned many of these supplements because of dangerous ingredients such as steroids and strong prescription drugs. However, despite the ban, many of the products have reappeared in stores. So as a consumer, always check the ingredients on the label and be aware of the dietary supplements you are taking. This has been your weekly health update with Molly Brewer.
Thanks, Molly. I'll have to make sure I double check those labels if I decide to buy supplements.
Definitely, me too.
Chicago sports are in full swing. Let's check in with Monique James for the latest. Monique?
Now you have to wonder, is there trouble in paradise? After the Bears lost yet again 27-14 to the Dolphins Sunday, receiver Brandon Marshall vented his frustrations inside the Soldier Field locker room. Reporters who overheard the incident said Marshall called out quarterback Jay Cutler during the heated post-game meeting. The Bears will look to put this behind them as they get ready to beat the New England Patriots next Sunday. The Blackhawks soared over the Philadelphia Flyers Tuesday night at the United Center. Chicago won 4-0 in destructive fashion during the first period. The Hawks scored 3 goals in just under 2 minutes. And for the injured Corey Crawford, goaltender Antti Ranta made 32 saves en route to his second career shutout. The next game will be Sunday night against the Ottawa Senators to the World Series. The Magical Royals evened up the series, winning games 2-7 over the Giants last night. Rookie Giordano Ventura and his lightning-quick fastball only allowed 2 runs in 5+ innings. This is looking to be quite an interesting series. It could even go 7. Game 3 will be on Friday in San Francisco. That's all for sports this week. I'm Monique James.
Thanks, Monique. A new Loyola scholarship is in the works. Up next, I sit down with Phoenix reporter Dominic Lynch to get the details.
Also, a commentary on LGBTQ Heritage Month. We'll be right back.
For more simple ways to fight the flu, visit www.flu.gov.
So go inside,
Yeah.
like that. And put it on. Welcome back. Loyola's Unified Student Government Association recently proposed a vote asking students to add a $2.50 charge to their tuition in order to create a scholarship fund for undocumented students. Carly sits down with Phoenix reporter Dominic Lynch to get his take on the vote.
Thanks, Jade. Dominic is a member of the USGA, and he is also a reporter for the Loyola Phoenix. In this week's edition, he talks about the new scholarship. Dominic, can you explain for us what the scholarship would entail?
Yeah, so the USGA is trying to propose in a referendum form in the spring a $2.50 charge onto every student's tuition, and with that money they would start a scholarship fund specifically for undocumented students on campus.
And would this be the first time that Loyola students are paying for a scholarship?
Yeah, this would be the first specifically scholarship fund. Now the USGA has funded other initiatives through tuition charges. Just last year, they started the Green Initiative Fund through a similar fashion.
And you've already received some backlash from this article. Can you tell us about what people are saying?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a member of the USGA, so I've been contacted by USGA officials. They didn't really see the dissent coming, and it's definitely ruffled some feathers. But it was only published yesterday, so they're still trying to wrap their heads around it, I think.
What do you think will happen? Will there be any consequences from this article?
Oh, for me personally, no, I don't think so. I think they're going to have some very stern talks with me, but I think that's about it. And I think if anything, they'll draw some constructive criticism from it.
What do you suppose as a possible alternative to this scholarship then?
Yeah, U.S. immigration law is a very Byzantine thing. It's a labyrinth of rules and regulations and red tape. I think a better use of the money would be to help undocumented students on campus navigate U.S. immigration law and come out with a green card at the end of the day.
Okay, is there anything else that you think that we should know and keep an eye out for in future issues of the Phoenix about this?
About the undocumented student scholarship?
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to be working, obviously I'm on the student government, so I'm going to be working more closely with the president, Flavio Bravo, to kind of air my opinion about this and see how it can be incorporated, if it can be incorporated. So hopefully I'll keep you guys updated in later issues of the Phoenix about what progress, if any, is made to come to a better understanding.
And just to be clear, it's not that you're against the undocumented
No.
students.
Yeah, that's a pretty good thing to clarify. I'm not against undocumented students, not at all. I even say in the article that they shouldn't give up the fight to help these people. I just think it's not the best use of the money.
Great. Thanks so much for your time and for speaking with us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Now to Lauren DeVito for her take on LGBTQ Heritage Month. Take it away, Lauren.
October is Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer History Month. During this time, it's important to take a look at all of the people throughout history who have shaped the LGBTQ community. Freddie Mercury, David Bowie, Virginia Woolf, Margaret Cho, Laverne Cox, and Frank Ocean, just to name a few. While this month might be dedicated to the fun side of being queer and transgender, I want to call attention to when things can get ugly for LGBTQ Americans. There are hundreds of homeless LGBTQ youth across the city of Chicago, and we have ignored them for too long. According to a Williams Institute study, more than 40% of homeless youth are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. Currently, only 10% of Americans identify as members of the LGBTQ community. This means that homelessness is disproportionately impacting the LGBTQ community. Homeless, queer, and transgender youth are on the streets because they felt a lack of acceptance or they were facing abuse or neglect at home. It is time we start taking better care of the youth in the city and this country who are suffering. There are places in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood that offer youth services for the LGBTQ community. Center on Halsted, the Broadway Youth Center, and the homeless shelter The Crib help tremendously in giving queer and transgender young people a place where they feel accepted. According to DNA Info, though, Lakeview residents feel threatened by this youth presence. They feel that these citizens and youth attract more crime to the neighborhood when simply this is untrue. Our attitudes surrounding LGBTQ youth need to change immediately. We need to stop profiling LGBTQ young people as problems and as criminals. This is only creating a system in which queer and transgender Americans feel ostracized for being who they are. There is no pride in that. For Studio 51 Commentary, I'm Lauren DeVito. Thanks, Lauren. After the break, we'll chow down on a new type of barbecue and get ready to look to the stars. Our Foodie and Tech Talk is next.
Also, your weekend weather forecast is coming up. Stay with us.
I got no balls, so losing. Shocking. Is it real overtime? Just had a few drinks. This can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. He'll be fine. I feel good. Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving.
Clear.
Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
Abandoned and lost. From the dark, cold streets of the city to a cage in the local shelter, to heaven, your lap.
Thanks for staying with us. It's now time for the Foodie Report. Chelsea Kuchik went downtown to grab a bite to eat. What's cooking, Chelsea?
Thanks, guys. Just because it's getting colder outside doesn't mean grilling season has to be over. I headed to Gyukaku with some of the Studio 51 crew to get our grill on.
Whoever said it isn't polite to play with your food hasn't been to Gyukaku. Located on East Ohio Street, this restaurant provides a social dining experience with do-it-yourself cooking guided by the helpful staff. Serving up Korean-inspired Japanese barbecue, Gyukaku has grills at every table. This isn't Benihana though. Diners cook the majority of their food as it comes on smaller plates. We stopped by during happy hour, which runs daily from 11:30 to 6 p.m. It's the best time to visit, especially if you're on a budget. There's a lot to choose from, but a warning to vegetarians. The menu is mostly meat-based. Veggie, rice, and soup options are available, but most seemed more like sides than an entree. For those of age, Gyukaku also has a fun assortment of Asian beers and cocktails. We ordered a Hypnotic Bellini and a white peach sochu. Both are sweet and not too strong. For a full meal, Gyukaku recommends 2 meat dishes and a veggie plate per person. We started with the spicy tuna volcano. These bits of fried rice topped with tuna were delicious, giving a crunch with each spiced bite. We also got a free bowl of edamame just for checking in on Facebook. For the meal, we ordered the New York strip steak, the yaki shabu beef, and the spicy pork. If undercooked food scares you, the servers instruct the cooking times and will help if necessary. We could each cook the meat to our liking, and then dipped them in the provided sauces, adding even more flavor. To complete the main course, we ordered the sukiyaki bibimbap, which is a spiced fried rice served in a hot stone pot. For dessert, the s'mores were too enticing to pass up. Just like sitting around a campfire, Gyukaku's grills allow for a great conversation and an interactive dining experience. The meal came out to about $11 a person, minus the drinks, which is a steal since we were all stuffed. If you'd rather not participate via cooking or are with children who have a tendency to touch things, this might not be the place for you. For everyone else, I highly recommend Gyukaku as a fun place for a cute date, a night out with friends, or a place for your parents to treat you to a feast. For Studio 51, I'm Chelsea Kuchik.
Thanks, Chelsea.
You know, Jade, I have some great memories of sitting around a campfire roasting s'mores.
Me too, but my s'mores always ended up a little bit burnt.
Now let's get the latest and greatest from the tech world with Emma Wheeler. Emma?
This week marks the annual Orionid Meteor Shower. Yes, you heard me, it's called Orionid Meteor Shower. Chicagoans had plenty of chances to wish upon a star, but sometimes living in our city makes it almost impossible to catch a glimpse. Now, for iPhone and iPad users, that chance is finally here. Apple has developed an app that has revolutionized stargazing. It's called Sky Guide, and it brings a planetarium right to your fingertips. Users can hold up their iPhones and iPads to see the sky and see them align with all the stars and constellations above. The app has compiled 37,000 real photographs, and by using GPS navigation, it will mimic everything that might be hidden behind the city lights. And the device's internal gyroscope acts as a compass to create a full 360-degree perspective. Your phone will see exactly what you see no matter which way you turn. Star Guide provides a rich description of every planet and every star, and the mythological history behind each constellation. Simply scroll over a name and you can read all about it. Curious what the sky looks like at a different place or even a different time? Sky Guide allows you to search any location at any day or the future of the past, dating back to the 1st century. As a 2014 Apple Design Award winner, Sky Guide brings the brightest stars to even the brightest of cities for just $1.99. That's all the Tech Talk for this week. I'm Emma Wheeler.
Thanks, Emma. It's been a bit cool outside these past couple of days. Let's get your weekend weather check with Lauren Smith. Lauren?
Thanks, ladies. I have to tell you that this week in Chicago has been pretty cold and cloudy out. And today I'm standing outside in the studio and there is no difference. We're expecting a high of 55 degrees today. Expect some showers later on in the day, but really nothing not too bad. And also, be sure to check out that partial solar eclipse happening today at 4:45. Now, that is going to be a treat. All right, let's get started with our weekend weather forecast. For Friday, we can expect a high of 62 degrees and a low of 55. It's going to be partially cloudy on Friday, but thankfully, there'll be no shower in the forecast for Friday. There will, however, be a slight chance of rain for Saturday with a high of 64 degrees and a low of 48. Now, other than that, Saturday is going to be a pretty bright and sunny day. But if it's real sun you want, take a look at Sunday. Sunday is going to be 57 degrees and a low of 55. Although it's an expense to our temperatures, it's still going to be a bright and sunny day. If you have not done so already, now is the time to get out that fall coat. Although we're not going to have the perfect weekend weather that we want, at least we have some sunny days ahead of us. This has been your weekend weather forecast for Studio 51. I'm Lauren Smith.
Thanks, Lauren. You know, after such a cloudy week, I'll be looking forward to some of that sunshine that she was talking about.
Yeah, all these clouds, they just make me want to go hibernate.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of Studio 51. I'm Jade Anderson.
And I'm Carly Free. We'll see you next time.